Urban League family, friends, distinguished guests, sponsors, and of course, the residents of our host city, St. Louis. We are delighted to be in St. Louis, and we are so happy you have come from near and far to join us for what promises to be a memorable week. On behalf of our President and CEO, Marc Morial, the National Urban League Board of Trustees, and every Urban League CEO from across the country, we want to welcome you, officially welcome you, to the 2017 National Urban League Annual Conference. A big round of applause, please. A special thanks goes to the leaders and members of this house, the Friendly Temple Baptist Church, and their dynamic choir. Were they not wonderful? Absolutely. I want to thank the choir members for allowing God to use their gifts to bless us. So once again, let's give them a round of applause. I can say assuredly that you are in for an amazing conference, starting with tonight's State of the Union Urban League address and moving forward to the forums and plenaries, the Women of Power, the Expo Hall, the Career and Networking Fair, and the Gala. I promise you that we have something for everyone and that you will leave this place empowered, inspired, and motivated to affect change in our communities. And so, at this time, I'd like to acknowledge our distinguished co-chairs for this year's National Conference. Michael Neidorff, who is the chairman of the National Urban League Board of Trustees, and stand up, Michael, stand up, yes. He's also President and Chief Executive Officer of Centene Corporation, and of course our other co-sponsor is none other than David Steward, who is the co-founder and chairman of the Board of Worldwide Technologies, and you have to stand up as well. These are not only successful business leaders, but they are dedicated community stewards. And what I love about them is they have heart. They understand that to whom much is given, much is required. So thank you. Another round of applause. We also want to take a moment to acknowledge our 4 presenting sponsors for the 2017 conference: Nationwide, Toyota, Target, and UPS. Let's give our co-chairs and presenting sponsors. I love it. Thank you. You know, the work of the movement is so important, and it requires everyone's time and resources. And these sponsors have been there time and time again, and so we thank you. And so, ladies and gentlemen, to mark the official opening of this event, we ask that you please stand for the posting and presentation of the national colors, posting of the colors by the U.S. Navy. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, if you would move forward. Thank you. I think the Melba Moore is going to be, if you would, Melba Moore is going to sing the Negro National Anthem song. If you would, please. Melba Moore, let's give her a round of applause.
Praise the Lord, everybody. Please stand. Music, please. Lift every voice and sing till earth ring. Ring with the heart of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening sky. Let it resound loud as a rolling sea. We used to sing this one in the cotton fields. Rain in the water, wait in the water. Come on, children, come on, wait in the water. Surely trouble the one God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, God who has brought us so far round this way, God who has by thy might a holy light, how keep us forever in your path, Lord. Said I'm praying, and then we'll sing. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. I sing a holy song. Faith seen rising sun, 'cause it's a brand new day just begun. We've got to march on to victory until it's won. We used to sing this one in the cotton fields. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me. very long ago that African Americans were slaves in this country. It was against the law for you to read, to write, to vote, to own property, or to get paid for the work that you did. And now we see what happened to Michael Brown and his family. So we haven't come very far in some ways. We got a long way to go. And we got to remember, freedom ain't free. Hallelujah.
I know you all would like to have Melba back again. Was she not only beautiful, but amazing? Give her a round of applause. Please have a seat. So we want to say thank you to Mrs. Melba Moore, the Melba Moore. Your voice is truly an instrument and a gift from God. We want to say thank you for that beautiful rendition of Lift Every Voice. And to the color guard and to all of our servicemen and women, we want to thank you for your service. Let's give them a round of applause. Coming next to greet us is the leader of this house, Pastor Michael Jones, who will give the invocation.
Welcome to our home. Let us pray together. Our God, we thank you for this blessed occasion where your people can assemble in your house to lift your name, to raise causes of interest, causes of concern, but not only raising them, God, but putting emphasis upon them that results will come forth from them all. May you bless, our God, this great organization, the leadership of this organization. May you bless those who will share this week. Bless the sessions, bless the workers. And Lord, let it have a life-changing effect upon the lives of your people. May it transform this city in ways that we will know that this event did occur. May you transform the hearts and the minds of young and seasoned, that it will transform not only this city, but this region and places that we can touch. Now, Lord, bless us today. Bless all that will happen in your name. Bless those who will come even after I sit. And may your grace abound in this place. May your name receive glory. We ask it all. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
So thank you, Pastor Jones, for welcoming us to this house and for those encouraging words and inspirational prayer. Our presenting sponsor for tonight's State of the Urban League address has been a staunch supporter of the National Urban League for many years, Target Corporation. May I direct your attention to the video screen?
It teaches you just how to be selfless and not be so tunnel vision, but to actually spread love and receive love and to give love.
Volunteering is part of our core values at Target. We put a lot of emphasis on it, and we believe in giving back to the community. I am a store team leader for Target.
Every little step counts, but it has to come from the heart. And a day like this is just a reminder of why we do what we do.
People really do care, and people really do help you and give back.
Oh, it feels good. This is a great experience. I'm looking forward to seeing the kids.
This isn't just one thing that we do, this is constant. My team's out somewhere in the community every month. We had a food pantry distribution today, so every child took home 22 pounds of food. It was just an outstanding day. To know that these students won't go to bed hungry is just awesome.
Beautiful. And speaking on behalf of our presenting sponsor and sponsor of tonight's Urban League's address is Laysha Ward, Executive Vice President and Chief External Engagement Officer. Let's give her a round of applause.
Thank you, Gale. Good evening. What an honor to be here. Before I begin, I want to thank Marc and everyone at the National Urban League and all of the affiliates from across the country. You're on the ground every day, bringing the mission of the Urban League to life and keeping it real for families. I'm proud to work for a company that believes in strengthening families, families like yours and mine. Whether that's through the jobs we provide and the leaders we develop, the affordable and inspiring products and services we bring to historically underserved neighborhoods, where we're also opening up a number of small format stores and remodeling locations around the country, or through the amazing partnerships we have in the community, like you saw in the video, and through our work with the National Urban League. Strong families are the backbone of the community. Strong families have your back, and strong families get even stronger when times are tough. You know, we all know that we're at an inflection point in our country's history. And that's why it's essential to focus on what unites us, not what separates and divides us. And to look for opportunities to find common ground in common sense solutions that move us forward together. We stand on the shoulders of giants, sisters and brothers who have come before us. They chose not to fit in, but instead to stand up and to stand out for what they believed in. They made a way out of no way. And there's no better way for us to honor them and move forward than by doubling down our efforts on what works. We can't give up hope. We can't be paralyzed. We must mobilize. We've made progress, but there is still a tremendous amount of work ahead to create equity and pathways to opportunity. This work is an all-in, full-contact participatory sport. And sitting on the sidelines is not an option for any of us, which means we all have to lean in. Now, I know many of you are sitting here saying, I've already been active in the movement. Who does she think she is? I know it. But I want you to also know that I'm extremely grateful for your past leadership. But we, including myself, have to up our game and encourage others to do the same. Target is on this journey with you. Whether you visit us in one of our stores or experience us online, we want you and your family, your friends and community to feel valued, to feel respected, to feel welcomed, and to feel at home. What you may not know is that I grew up in a family of very limited means. That was a nice way of saying we was po', right? I attended Head Start, which is an early childhood program for low-income children. My parents worked multiple jobs to make ends meet. They hustled. And so I know that this struggle is real for so many families across the country. My former mentor, Dr. King's wife, Mrs. Coretta Scott King, once told me that civil rights are fought and won in each generation. So let's use the power of our collective influence and voice, our collective experiences and community to create a world where Save Our Cities isn't just a dream, but it's a reality. And that the economic, social, and political advancement of African Americans is fully realized. So once again, on behalf of everyone at Target, including the members of the Target team who are here with me tonight, a little shout out to Target team right there. Holla. Amazing, amazing team members. We really look forward to continuing to do this work alongside you. It is truly our blessing to be on this journey with you, and we look forward to continuing that work in local communities all across this country. So good evening, and God bless.
We are certainly grateful to Target and certainly to Laysha for their continued support. And now, here to welcome us to the great city of St. Louis is the President and CEO of the Urban League of Metropolitan St. Louis, none other than Michael McMillan. Let's give Michael a big round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you. Well, good evening, church. Giving honor to God, we want to welcome you to the city of St. Louis. And thank you for being here. I want to start off by acknowledging and thanking Pastor Jones, because 23 years ago, I had the privilege of going to his installation when the only facility that the church had was across the street. And now, 23 years later, this African American church has created a $125 million complex with housing, businesses, this complex, everything that we have here in St. Louis. Thank you, brother. Thank you. And it is no accident that this church is on Martin Luther King Boulevard, because he embodies the spirit of Dr. King, the humility of Dr. King, the hard work, the dedication, and the commitment to this neighborhood. When other people ran away, he ran to this area. And we thank you and God bless you, because you are a blessing to all of us. And as we honor Dr. King and we discuss his legacy, I want to acknowledge my dear friend who came here to pay tribute to this National Urban League Conference, to our president, Zernona Clayton, who is here, who is Dr. Martin Luther King's personal assistant, who planned his last birthday party, who drove him to the airport when he went to Memphis, and who worked with Coretta Scott King, who founded the Trumpet Awards and was the first African American to have a television show in this nation. Zernona, please stand. Zernona is also the only happily married woman that I know that has 500 boyfriends, and her husband knows about every one of them, and there are several of us in the room tonight. We also want to thank Melba Moore for coming. We thank her for being here with us. She did a fantastic job. Mary Wilson of the Supremes is here. She came in for the conference. She's going to sing later for us tonight at Anheuser-Busch. Ray Goodman and Brown are here. They are going to perform. Angela Winbush, Denise Times, and so many others. So only in St. Louis can you go from church to Anheuser-Busch. And it'll be all right. I want to also really take a moment and thank our leader, Marc Morial, and the entire National Urban League staff who are working tirelessly on this conference with us as a true partner, really making sure that we have the maximum impact on St. Louis. We opened the conference today with the press conference at our new Ferguson Center, where we just opened it for the public with a $4 million investment in the city of Ferguson, with 75% black-owned businesses building that facility. So we thank you, Marc, for your leadership, your dedication, and being there with us, and all that you have done to make this an excellent conference. And as I close, I just want to thank on a personal basis the dynamic duo of our conference co-chairs, Michael Neidorff, our National Board Trustee Chairman, and David Steward. These two people are literally like having Superman and Batman right in your own city. They're the dynamic duo. David Steward, in the past 30 years, took a concept and turned it into an almost $10 billion black-owned business and has made history in this country. and is a true friend of the Urban League, and actually got his first job in St. Louis from the Urban League. So he is an example of how we help people, how we empower communities, and how we change lives. And Michael Neidorff took a $40 million company and turned it into a $46.6 billion company here in St. Louis and around the globe. And both of their generosity is unmatched. So they are making sure that this conference is going to be a fantastic week of activities for all of you. And we want to make sure that you have any and everything that you need. So we are going to roll out the red carpet for you, have a taste of St. Louis tonight at Anheuser-Busch. We have great plenary sessions. Judge Hatchett flew in from Atlanta with Zernona to lead the state of Black America tomorrow morning. We have the Ferguson session. And Friday night, if any of you booked to leave on Friday afternoon, you need to call American, Delta, Southwest, and everybody else that you may have booked a ticket with and stay here, because Mr. Neidorff has seen to it that we have a surprise concert that he has underwritten that you will not want to miss, because we want to make sure that you enjoy this conference. You have all the information that we know that we get from the Urban League, but we want you to have a good time too. And God bless each and every one of you as we work to empower communities and change lives. Thank you.
All right, so one more time, let's give Michael and the Urban League of the Metropolitan St. Louis a round of applause. We are truly happy to be here in the city of our esteemed chairman, Michael Neidorff, who also calls this home. We will hear from Superman, I think, a little later. We'll hear from the chairman later in the program. Right now, what I'd like for us to do is take a look at how our conference presenting sponsors, Nationwide, Toyota, and UPS, embodies the letter and spirit of stewardship in the places where they do business. So if you would, please. Nationwide's culture is really about people, and it's about impact. We impact our communities in a number of ways, primarily economically, and then also because we really understand the corporate responsibility to give back.
We believe we can accomplish more together, collectively, than we can individually. The Urban League is a great partner for us in this respect. Our values align, our goals align, and they too believe strongly in the betterment of communities.
We really try to follow the lead of our associates. People have a passion for mentoring and for education. We really try to provide a mechanism to allow those associates to serve where their passions lie. And from a community perspective, we've always been actively involved in the community, trying to give back, trying to be good stewards.
Nationwide cares. It cares about its members, it cares about the associates, and it cares about the communities in which we work and live.
Hipley is mobility in motion. Hipley is a rich cultural phenomenon out of Chicago.
We definitely just include everybody, no matter shape, size, or skin tone. We don't care as long as you have a good attitude.
Harmony, creativity, self-respect. There's so many things you learn studying dance. I'm the founder and the director of the Chicago Multicultural Dance Center and the creator of Hipley. Hipley is a combination of hip-hop and classical ballet. The uniqueness is they have to be involved in a classical ballet discipline. And then with all the hip-hop movement, it creates soul. These kids have performed around the world, 500 million views. Through the discipline of dance, we are changing lives. And Chicago is a wonderful place to do it.
Hipley provides freedom to move.
Hipley is going places.
The UPS Foundation's mission is to aid communities in need and build their resilience for the future through humanitarian relief efforts, by protecting our environments through global reforestation, with programs that ensure road safety, and by supporting diversity and inclusion. We are determined to make a positive impact in everything we do, and with every dollar we invest, ensuring that volunteering and giving back remains firmly rooted in our culture, so all people have a chance to thrive and prosper. The UPS Foundation strives to create new possibilities and remains committed to doing more.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, please give our presenting sponsors another round of applause for all they do, and especially for generously supporting the work of the National Urban League. We could not do what we do around the country and around the world without our sponsors. So again, one more time for all of our presenting sponsors. Thank you. At this time, we'd like to ask our chairman, Michael F. Neidorff, who is also the chairman, president, and CEO of Centene Corporations and the co-chair of the 2017 annual conference, to step to the podium to give remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Michael Neidorff.
Let's hear it for Gale. When I first became involved with the Urban League, she took me aside and said, "Let me help you understand a few things." And I haven't forgotten them, so thank you. Before I start some formal remarks, I first want to acknowledge the energy and work of everybody at the Urban League here, Marc and his team out of the national office, Michael McMillan, my own staff at Centene, and all the individuals. I'm not going to try and name a lot of people because you always forget somebody. But I do want to also correct one other thing, and that is the Entertainment Friday night is a joint effort of David Steward and myself. In fact, most people in town know that if they want to get me involved, get David. And if they want to get David, get Michael. And somehow we kind of match up what we're going to do, right, David? And it works out very well. Thank you, Gale. And as chairman of the board of the National Urban League, the board and I would also like to welcome you to the 2017 National Urban League Conference. Excuse me. Our discussions and deliberations throughout this conference and the weeks and months to come are critically important as we focus on what it will take to save our cities and protect our progress. For over 100 years, the Urban League has been at the helm of social change. It has demonstrated time and time again that there is no organization more strategically positioned to play a major role in building bridges for stronger, more economically viable, and healthier communities. St. Louis has certainly been witness to this. Michael McMillan and the Urban League of Metropolitan St. Louis have played a pivotal role in facilitating transformative partnerships between the public, private, and social sectors. And nowhere has this been more apparent than in the wake of Ferguson. Because of that, I can think of no better city than St. Louis to host our conference this year. St. Louis is a city that is stepping up to the challenge of working to create a positive social change. Since the unrest of 2014, our experiences, particularly in Ferguson, can serve as an example of the progress that can be made when business, community organizations, and elected officials work together for the transformation of a community at large. As St. Louis continues to build out a model for positive social change, it has benefited from constructive reflection and action. And although still learning, St. Louis and the Urban League of Metropolitan St. Louis are also in a position to share and teach. This is so important. That is why my company, Centene, along with Worldwide Technologies, is proud to be a title sponsor for this year's conference. and to have the opportunity to showcase the work that the Urban League and others are doing to make our community a beacon of hope. As we meet this week, we are reminded of the need to remain focused and diligent in seeking solutions to the challenges that confront our communities. Issues such as jobs, education, social justice, healthcare, and poverty remain. And while we as a country have made true progress in many of these areas, we all know there is so much more that must be done. That is why I'm here. That is why we are all here. While we will be examining these issues throughout the conference, take note, we do not meet this week to just talk. Our efforts here in St. Louis and going forward must be actionable and have a positive impact on key agendas, including those of economic, social, and political platforms. The solutions for so many of the challenges we face are within reach. To take last year, for example, with grants along with funding secured by local affiliates from their local corporate foundations and individual partners, the Urban League network ensured that 13 entrepreneurial centers provided information and training for over 17,000 clients. This led to over 10,000 individuals embarking on their own small business endeavors. The centers also assisted clients in receiving $217 million in new financing, bonding, and contract opportunities, while creating or attempting to save approximately 57,000 jobs. In 2016, there were over 11,000 participants in home ownership programs, 1,600 of which became first-time homeowners at an average purchase price of $148,000 a year. In addition, we assisted over 8,300 families in retaining ownership of their homes. We served more than 325,000 clients through 126 healthcare programs administered by Urban League affiliates, and served over 1,000 clients with a diverse array of education initiatives designed to reverse academic deficits. Our programs, which served 1.4 million individuals last year, are only as strong as each of our affiliates. They are the grassroots and strength of the Urban League. They are the boots on the ground that are making change happen for individual families and communities every day. Through our network, we continue to leverage funding from government agencies, individual donors, corporations, and foundations. We also continue to invest in the development of Urban League leaders and professionals so our network continues to have the capacity to deliver top-performing services and effective, measurable outcomes. I can confidently say that the Urban League is staying true to its mission, and we are all making a difference. I repeat, we are all making a difference. But our work continues. I encourage you to take every advantage afforded to you throughout this conference to learn about our vision and plan for the work of the National Urban League going forward. You, each and every one of you, are needed to effect the change we all agree is necessary to save our cities. I also want to encourage you, if you have the opportunity, to go to see at our History Museum their exhibition on civil rights in St. Louis. My wife and I, Noemi, went to it, saw it. We're taking our children to it. And I encourage you, if you have your children with you at this meeting, to take them as well. There are important lessons there for all of us. I am looking forward to meeting and speaking with as many of you as I can over the course of the next few days. I thank you for all you do, and enjoy St. Louis and your time in St. Louis. Thank you.
All right. Is Michael not wonderful? One more round of applause for Michael Neidorff. Now, I think it's only appropriate that we bring up the other half of that dynamic duo. So if David Steward would join us, and let's welcome him to the stage, please.
Gale, thank you. Thank you for that warm introduction, and praise God for the things he has done. I come in here and I look around, I'm in awe. I'm humbled by what's been done here. And so, Pastor Jones, where are you? There he is. There he is. Tremendous, tremendous. God sure has his hands on you in this place and doing his mighty work through you. So thank you for what you've done here. What an incredible conference already. We just got started. I am humbled and honored to stand before you, Michael Neidorff and Marc Morial and Michael Millan, and deeply honored and humbled and excited to welcome you to the 2018 National Urban League Conference to the beautiful city of St. Louis. As I think about this dynamic duel, this morning we were doing the kickoff and ribbon cutting and all the things that we were doing this morning, and they were confusing Michael with me. And so my name is David Steward. That's Michael Neidorff down there. And so what I decided to do is change my shirt so you could distinguish between the two of us. It's interesting that I know in the scriptures it talks about two or more come together and ask my name. All I have to do is call Michael Neidorff, because the two of us are in total agreement on preserving the generations to come, and the training that needs to be done, the work that needs to be done, and investment and time and effort to make that happen. I can always pick up the phone and call Michael Neidorff, and he can always pick up the phone and call me. And I know that other party that's in my back pocket. Likewise, right? Hosting the State of the Urban League address here in Friendly Temple Baptist Church could not be more appropriate. When people ask me about the state of Urban League or the city or this country or the state of affairs of anything, I said, well, I know that God will always provide his leadership, and he's still sitting on the throne as far as I know. And we're most definitely good friends. The Lord has clearly blessed us, St. Louis, with a visionary leadership of Mike McMillan. And what he's done here has just been extraordinary, to say the least. And he's standing on the shoulders of Mr. Buford, who is here as well, and many others prior to him. I'm an outcome of the work that the Urban League has done over the years. And so as I stand before you and the $9 billion company that I currently own, and the future of worldwide technology is bright because of the shoulders I'm standing on, the predecessors of the people who gave me opportunities and got me on the right track and provided me with the right the core values that I own and make sure that we incorporate today, and how we do business, how we collaborate, and how we work together is all because of people like you in this room who decided that I was important. You loved on me, you cared for me, you decided that it was important. So I'm just being a good steward to much given and much required. for the generations to come. And as I look at the new things that are happening at Worldwide, and the fascinating commitment that we have to diversity and investment that we're making, and that in the community and education around the Global Leadership Forum, and ensuring that the next generation of science, technology, engineering, and math is preserved, especially in our community. That intellectual capital is desperately needed in our business and other businesses, and looking at technology as a differentiator in the marketplace. And we will not get innovation if we don't have that diversity of perspective and experience and perspective at the table with us. That's our competitive edge. That's what's made Worldwide what it is today, and will continue to make Worldwide a differentiating innovator in this field because of that. And so thank you for what you do around that, and we'll continue to invest time, money, and energy into ensuring that that happens. We have Steward scholars that are across this country because we recognize the importance of doing that. We have an internship program. It's second to none in the world, where interns are coming and learning about culture, learning about those soft skills and the technology and how and innovation and the environment that we're in that help them make a difference in their lives, whether they stay at Worldwide Technology or not, and most of them do. It's truly made a difference. Supplier diversity is an important aspect of what we're doing as well, which we think is just so vitally important. We just built our tower, which was 100% done by diversity companies. And so I'm thankful for that opportunity. It was led by a diversity company. $100 million spent on that new facilities headquarters account. And in addition to that, our Advanced Technology Center. We have spent over $250 million to actually revolutionize and to innovate and create the next generation of technology and to define what that next generation of technology will look like. That is all an investment into our future. And so we're leveraging that in a meaningful way to give access to educational operations across the country to ensure that our future is secure. As I look at this whole empowerment community and change line for enabling African Americans to ensure economic self-reliance aligns exactly with what we are doing and continue to do in science, technology, engineering, and math. What you have done for the least of them, you have done for me. That's what the word says, and we are compelled to ensure that that happens. Stop by our booth on Community Day on Saturday to check out GLF, because things are happening right here in St. Louis that will have global implications and impact. Our collective partnership with the Urban League will continue to strengthen our respective community development efforts across the country and around the globe. We'll go before you and light the way. As we gather this week, let us look to the future and continue to forge new paths to prosperity and economic growth. And I'm always reminded that something that always has strengthened me along the way to remind us who we are. In Ephesians 3:20, it talks about that. And it says in those words, "Glory be to God that works within us, that can do exceedingly above all that we can think, dream, or pray for." That's who you are, Urban League. Thank you, thank you, thank you for your support.
Wow, that dynamic duo. I said to you that they were successful businessmen, but you heard that they are generous leaders with a big heart. One more round of applause. We certainly appreciate their leadership and the difference they're making. And now, ladies and gentlemen, you are in for a special, special treat. Please join me in welcoming the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra in Unison Choir.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Marc Morial, and I'm proud to work for you. Wake up, everybody. No more sleeping in bed. No more backward thinking. It's time for thinking ahead. The world won't get no better if we just let it be. We got to change it, yeah. Just you and me. Good evening, Urban Leaguers. Urban Leaguers, wake up and stay woke. Urban Leaguers, wake up and stay woke. Urban Leaguers, wake up and stay woke. Welcome to the beautiful Friendly Temple Missionary Baptist Church. Thank you to your great pastor, a builder, a leader, Reverend Michael F. Jones Sr., and thank you so much. Thank you so much for the entire family and congregation here. Let's give him another big round of applause. Now, if Michael Neidorff is Superman and Dave Steward is Batman, then Gale King is Wonder Woman. Let's give Wonder Woman a big round of applause. Gale King. This morning, we were together. We gathered at the grand opening of the Ferguson Empowerment Center. It's built on the site of that convenience store that was burned during the Ferguson uprising, following the death of an unarmed teenager, Michael Brown, at the hands of the Ferguson police. Michael Brown's parents joined us for the ceremonies, and I could not have imagined a more appropriate and special way to mark the opening of this, the 107th anniversary conference of the National Urban League. Or, ladies and gentlemen, an event, Michael McMillan, more representative of what the Urban League movement is truly all about. Brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, out of the ashes, this morning there was hope. And in the words of the prophet Nehemiah, let us rise up and build. As Nehemiah rebuilt Jerusalem, we must rebuild Ferguson. And we must rebuild all the urban centers around this nation that need our attention. That is what a 21st century civil rights movement is all about. Now, from across the nation, activists and activists converged upon Ferguson, bringing the eyes and ears of America to focus on a violent injustice. And when the marchers and the protesters had moved on, let the record reflect it was the Urban League who went to work. Literally building upon that foundation where once the flames of righteous anger burned. At the Empowerment Center we dedicated this morning, lives will be transformed. The Urban League program that will be housed in the Empowerment Center, Save Our Sons, is one of the most successful job placement initiatives anywhere in the nation. Now let me tell you a little story. A little over a year ago, a 35-year-old man found himself in a deep depression. A single father, newly divorced. He had lost his job. He was praying and praying for a way out. And his prayers were answered. They were answered by the Save Our Sons program. He learned new computer skills, how to craft a resume, how to network, how to present yourself in the right manner at an interview, how to find a job and keep a job. 3 days after completing the program, he was offered a job. And now he's hard at work redeveloping abandoned buildings right here in St. Louis. I want you to join me in congratulating Willard Dunlow, who is with us today, a graduate of the Save Our Sons program, William Dunlow. This is what the Urban League is about. Lives are being transformed, and we're excited. I am excited to bring this conference to the city of St. Louis and to enjoy the hospitality of one of the finest urban leagues anywhere on the planet. Just a few months ago, I was proud to award this affiliate, ladies and gentlemen, its third consecutive 5-star rating. The very first affiliate to achieve that distinction since we began our very rigorous affiliate rating program. So we're proud to be in St. Louis. St. Louis, the birthplace of the late poet and civil rights activist Maya Angelou, who honored us with a commemorative poem on the occasion of our centennial in 2010. St. Louis, the birthplace of Josephine Baker, the black pearl who defied death threats and yes, refused to perform for segregated audience and was the only woman to speak at the 1963 March on Washington. St. Louis, the home of Cool Papa Bell. Now, Cool Papa Bell came to fame as the fastest man in baseball playing for the St. Louis Stars. They say Cool Papa Bell was so fast, he could switch off the lights and be in bed under the covers before the room got dark. Cool Papa Bell. And St. Louis gave us Chuck Berry, the pioneer of rock and roll. Jazz legend Miles Davis and the comedian Dick Gregory. And St. Louis, this is where Dred Scott first sued for his freedom in 1946. For years, St. Louis has been an incubator of excellence in activism. So it is fitting that we gather. We gather here to move that excellence in activism forward and upward in the 21st century. And more importantly, in this time of deep and hostile political divisions, St. Louis, the home of Michael Neidorff, chairman of the National Urban League Board of Trustees, our chairman who's ably led us for the last 3 years, has been a great civic leader, not only in this city, but across the nation. He has set forth this example, ladies and gentlemen, that we want business leaders to take note of. And that is the example of great corporate social responsibility. His company, Centene, built a new call center in Ferguson today that employs 250 workers with on-site daycare, a fitness center, and even a state-of-the-art bistro. Let's stop there before we go to Anheuser-Busch. But that bistro is for his employees. When others may have wanted to run away from the challenges in Ferguson, our chairman, like the economic first responders that we are, ran toward the fire. He is an outstanding example of responsible corporate leadership. Let's give our chairman another warm round of applause for his outstanding commitment and leadership. And this is the home of my brother, Michael McMillan. He is one of our new generation CEOs who's led the St. Louis affiliate to its present state of high distinction. Now, Michael's baptism of fire was the tragic death of Michael Brown and the uprising that followed. His steady, responsible, experienced leadership has continued the momentum of healing in the community. He leads the St. Louis Urban League 100 years after the East St. Louis uprising of 1917, which led to the creation of this affiliate. I want Michael McMillan to stand. We owe this man a warm round of applause. He has done great work. He has led. Michael McMillan, ladies and gentlemen, and it is, and ladies and gentlemen, it is Michael McMillan's birthday. Happy birthday to you. Michael McMillan, ladies and gentlemen, another big round of applause. Thank you. Now, St. Louis is also the home of Jim Buford, the former St. Louis CEO and now a member of our National Board of Trustees. Now, I first met Jim when he interrogated me as a member of the search committee before I was hired more than a decade ago. Now, Jim interrogated me, he schooled me, and he prepared me. And I am forever grateful, Jim, for your friendship and confidence. Jim Buford, a great leader of the Urban League movement. Now, this conference, as you may have noticed, is a conference with a difference. This is the first conference during my tenure as president that we've not had a president, vice president, or a higher-ranking administration official. The reason for it is that this year, we are focusing on strengthening our own house because storms are upon us. And these storms require us to be resilient, nimble, brave, responsible, capable, unified, prepared, and action-oriented. We are focusing on our message, our work, our programs, our advocacy, and our leadership. And yes, we will celebrate leadership at this conference. The leadership we will celebrate is Urban League leadership. That leadership includes Michael Neidorff and all the members of our outstanding National Board of Trustees, Jabbar Shoemate and all affiliate board members from across the nation, T. Willard Fair, who heads our Association of Executives, and all of our affiliate CEOs, our Council of Guilds President, Cynthia Stokes-Murray, and all Guild chapter presidents, the president of our young professionals, and all YP chapter presidents. And ladies and gentlemen, I've just named you more than 100 presidents, including many of our trustees who are here, and they own their own businesses, and they are presidents and leaders. And these 100 presidents believe America is already great and the Urban League movement does its best work. In the toughest of times, tomorrow, we'll continue our conversation on the state of Black America. It's a conversation that accelerated through our first State of Black America TV show on TV One. Our State of Black America television show reached 65 million people when it aired on May 31st. And we'll take some time during tomorrow's plenary to recognize the 10th anniversary of our signature education program, Project Ready. For those of you who aren't familiar with Project Ready, it's a set of evidence-based standards plus practical tools that operates in the after-school space designed for and unique to the Urban League movement for the purpose of getting students of color and other urban youth ready for college, work, and life. I'm proud that tonight we have participants from the National Urban League Youth Summit who are having a one-week experience at Washington University. Ladies and gentlemen, our next generation, our young people, our Youth Summit participants. They are our future. They are our inspiration. They're why we work. Let's give them a big round of applause, all of our young people who are here with us tonight. Over the last 10 years, Project Ready has touched the lives of more than 15,000 students, 93% of whom said they learned through Project Ready what it takes to succeed in college. Let the record reflect. Spelman and Howard and Morehouse, here come the Urban League youth. Harvard and Princeton, here we come. MIT and CMU, here we come. Washington University, St. Louis University, and Harris Stowe, here come the Urban League youth. Ladies and gentlemen, we're sending you, our urban leaguers, and we send that message to colleges all across the nation. I want to thank all 44 Urban League affiliates who participated in Project Ready over the years. But I want to offer a special recognition to the Urban League of Rochester, New York, under the excellent leadership of Bill Clark, which was the original pilot site for the program and which has offered it all for 10 straight years. No matter what, no one runs better youth programs than the Urban League. No matter what, no one gets better results than Urban League affiliates. No one helps scholars achieve their dreams better than the Urban League. No one does it better than who? Urban League. We will also, at our second plenary session, highlight our Main Street Marshall Plan. We've been advocating the concept of a Marshall Plan for urban America since our late great leader Whitney Young challenged 1960s America to rebuild the nation's cities, just as we as America rebuilt Europe after World War II. His idea was revived in the 1990s by his successor and my predecessor, John Jacob, who called for an urban Marshall Plan. Our Main Street Marshall Plan, comprehensive, more than 50 pages, which we unveiled in detailed form earlier this year, is the only overarching comprehensive blueprint for reforming our economic and social institutions and rebuilding our infrastructure to address inequality and injustice. At this panel that will take place, we've assembled a distinguished trio of mayors from around the country to delve into the Main Street Marshall Plan, to share the challenges they face in the forms of collapsing bridges, crumbling roads, overcrowded schools, and corroded water lines, our aging dams, overtaxed electrical grids, weakening levees, deteriorating public parks, and community centers cry out for action. It's long past time to fix them. In advancing this plan, we take inspiration from Franklin Delano Roosevelt, that great 20th century American leader who confronted the twin crises of massive unemployment and lagging infrastructure development with the New Deal. The New Deal, ladies and gentlemen, produced 651,000 miles of highway. The New Deal produced 124,000 bridges, 8,000 parks, 18,000 playgrounds and athletic fields, 84,000 miles of drainage pipes, 125,000 public buildings built, rebuilt, or expanded, including 41,300 schools. The New Deal gave us the Cooley Dam, the overseas highway connecting the Florida Keys to the mainland, and the mighty Triborough Bridge, which some of our staff at the Urban League use every day to get to work. When this nation was flat on its back and its people were standing in bread lines, that great president mustered the courage and determination, not simply to put people to work, but to transform the nation. Just as the New Deal brought electricity to rural America, the Urban League's Main Street Marshall Plan could bring high-speed broadband to all of urban America. Where the New Deal largely wiped out illiteracy, the Main Street Marshall Plan aims to wipe out the racial achievement gap in education. With the courage of FDR and the fierce determination of a population determined to survive, we have the power in this generation. We have the wealth, we have the ingenuity, we have the smarts to transform America again. The question is, do our political leaders have the will? Do they share the vision of the people? Do they ride through the neighborhoods of our cities and see the need that is there? We can rebuild this country, improve this country, and put tens of thousands, literally millions of people back to work. Now on Friday morning, we'll focus. We'll focus on the transformation of Ferguson and the work that is yet to be done. With a plenary we're calling Ferguson Uprising, from anger to action. The work in this area of the Urban League of Metropolitan St. Louis, the St. Louis corporate and faith communities, including our chairman's company and other title sponsor, Worldwide Technology, is a big reason why we brought our conference here, and it'll be on display. The discussion will be emblematic of our larger mission. Now, let me just tell you something about Worldwide Technology. According to Black Enterprise, it's the largest Black-owned business in the United States, and of course, it's headed by Dave Steward. But I did my own research, and I discovered that Worldwide Enterprises is the largest Black-owned business in the history of the Republic. In the history of the Republic. Dave Steward, right here in St. Louis, has built that company, and that company continues to grow, and that company continues to build. Thank you, Batman, for building a great business that we can all be very proud of. Ladies and gentlemen, let's properly acknowledge Dave Steward once again for his leadership and for building a great, great American company. Now, while we're here, we'll celebrate the 75th anniversary of the Urban League Gale and our dynamic Gale president, Cynthia Stokes Murray. Guilders, please stand. All of our Guilders, please stand. We want to thank the Urban League Guilders. And the Urban League Guild, they are part of the heart and soul of the Urban League movement, working as a powerhouse fundraiser, but also in raising awareness of the movement and connecting the movement to the community. And next year, we'll celebrate the 20th anniversary of our young professionals who are here in large numbers under the leadership of Carlos Clanton. Carlos and our young professionals, please stand. Thank you, Urban League young professionals, for being with us. Now, our affinity groups are essential to the work of the Urban League. And let me say that one of our goals for this conference is to reaffirm this notion that the Urban League may be affiliates, it may be national, it may be guilders, it may be volunteers, it may be employees. But I invite us to think about the Urban League a lot differently. I think we should think about the Urban League first and foremost as one unified movement. We are one unified movement. Not East, not West, not South, not Central, not Guild, not YP, not volunteer, not employee. We are all urban leaguers. We share the mission of Haynes and Baldwin. We're inspired by the work of Molly Moon and the others throughout the ages. Now, I know some wonder and fret over generational change and whether the movement and millennials are keeping up with one another. I want to say that the Urban League has led the way. We now have 64 young professional chapters and over 6,000 young professionals volunteers. They are smart, they are ready, they are emerging leaders. And they are poised to carry the movement forward with passion and expertise. Our Women of Power Awards hold a special place for me personally. In every leadership role I've held in my career, I've striven to highlight and advance women at every level. When I was mayor of New Orleans, I appointed a record number of women to cabinet, executive, board, and commission positions. And I am also personally proud of the accomplishments of some of the women of power I've had the privilege to know and work with over the years. At the National Urban League, talented women comprise a majority of our staff today. Thank you, sisters, for the work you do. And I'll have more to say about phenomenal women in a moment. Just stand by. At the NUL Experience Expo Hall, featuring our career and networking fair, we'll be helping people find jobs, which is what we do every single day in every single affiliate. Over the last 12 years, our economic empowerment programs have placed, now get this, 200,000 people in jobs. 200,000 people in jobs. When others talk and others pontificate and others put out papers and platforms, we help people transition to payrolls so that they can take advantage of the economic opportunity of this nation. They can afford to take care of their families. And what kind of jobs? These jobs range from welders and bricklayers to nurses and technicians to chefs and caterers, computer programmers, electricians, and executives. From blue collar to white collar to pink collar, the Urban League stands first and foremost for jobs. Thanks to our programs, the Urban League movement's national economic impact in 2016 was nearly $2 billion. Let the record also show, when it comes to jobs, no one does it better than the Urban League affiliate movement. No one does it better. Our conference will feature Tech Connect, a space to explore the intersections between technology, race, and social change. A hackathon where participants will compete to create an application that addresses racial and social justice. We're committed to not just talking about the digital economy, but helping people prepare for it. And this year, for the first time, our conference is a stage for a casting call for ABC's hit show, Shark Tank. In no time, we will see urban leaguers blowing the Shark Tank judges away. Now, while we're here, preparing adults for success in their careers, once again, as I mentioned, we've got 350 middle school and high school students gathered at Washington University for our youth summit. What does this summit do? Again, it immerses these young people in a college setting to provide them with a unique educational and developmental experience, focusing on skills they'll need for success in college, work, and life. I visited with our young people yesterday, and I always come away impressed with their poise, impressed with their knowledge. Hello, young people, one more time. These young people are so important to us. They deserve a second round of applause tonight. And a new event this year that I'm really looking forward to is a transformation of our traditional family session into the One Movement Gospel Brunch and Family Session, where we will be hearing from one of the great moral voices of our time, the Reverend Dr. William Barber. As president of the North Carolina NAACP, Reverend Barber led the Moral Mondays campaign of ongoing civil rights protests at the state capitol in North Carolina. And now he's aiming to take that moral movement to the rest of the nation. At our Whitney M. Young Gala on Friday, we will celebrate 50 years of black mayors when we honor former Gary, Indiana Mayor Richard Gordon Hatcher. Mayor Hatcher, in 1967, along with Carl Stokes of Cleveland, were the first black mayors elected of major metropolitan cities. Now, I haven't given you a lineup of the parties because you have all those memorized. You all know where the parties are. And we'll have a party, and we always have a party. And as Michael mentioned, we have a great surprise for you on Friday night. It's going to be a conference like no other because our movement, our nation, is facing a challenge like no other. So I want to thank all of you for your prayers and support. I'm so proud that my wife, Michelle, is here tonight. Her busy career has kept her from the opening event for the last 4 years, and I want to thank her for her tremendous love and support as I've worked hard to do this work. Now, I remember that one of the board's concerns when I joined was whether we would be able to replace the giants of the movement, affiliate leaders who were nearing retirement, like Jim Compton and John Mack, Jim Buford and Sylvia Brooks, and so many others. They were the disciples of Whitney Young, not only people who were qualified and committed, but who recognized the needs and the potential of a rapidly changing political and technological landscape. I believe that we have ushered in a new, dynamic, exciting, talented, capable, passionate, purposeful generation of affiliate leaders to follow those giants. And I believe that this movement has continued to be strong because that transition has exceeded my wildest expectations. As I mentioned earlier, there was but a single woman who spoke at the March on Washington in 1963, even though it was women, too often unrecognized and unsung, who were driving the movement. Women like Diane Nash and Dorothy Height, Daisy Bates and Fannie Lou Hamer, the great Rosa Parks. I'm proud to say women have always been at the forefront of the Urban League movement. At our founding, Ruth Standish Baldwin, a suffragette, an early 20th century women's activist, stood side by side with George Edmund Haynes. They were the Superman and Wonder Woman of their era. In the 1920s, our first woman executive director joined the Urban League movement. Today, I am proud to say that about half of our affiliate CEOs are incredible women leaders. We have women CEOs. We have women CEOs and members of the Board of Trustees who are lawyers, educators, executives, elected officials, even a world-class track star. To paraphrase Sister Maya Angelou, it's in the reach of their arms, the span of their hips, and the stride of their steps and the curl of their lips. Phenomenal women, that's the Urban League women leaders. Now, while we're here in St. Louis, we will honor a phenomenal woman leader, Ella Teal, a pioneering woman CEO, who was appointed to lead the Urban League of Union County in Elizabeth, New Jersey in 1979. But even before that, she was an affiliate staffer at the Urban League of Morris County, New Jersey. So at Women of Power tomorrow, we will honor not only Ella, we will honor all of our women CEOs and all of our women national trustees with a very, very special tribute. So let me ask all of our women CEOs and all of our women trustees to please stand. We want to acknowledge your presence tonight. We want to thank you for your service. We want to lift you up as phenomenal women. Our movement encompasses the most diverse, knowledgeable, and influential and powerful leadership in our history, and the fast-growing movement of young professionals. Several of our CEOs have risen from the ranks of our young professionals. So important that we acknowledge the strength and power of our movement, because time is upon us when we need that strength and power more than ever. Now let me just talk in a few minutes about where we are in America. And let me tell you what it means to save our cities and protect our progress. We acknowledge the generations that came before us to make America more inclusive and more open. What did they do? They fought Hitler and defeated the terrorism of Nazism. They revolutionized communication from the transatlantic telegraph to the cell phone. They put the universe at our fingertips with the development of the internet. They were first in flight and first to put a man on the moon. They fought against segregation and tore down the walls that divided people in the South. They bled and died to achieve the right to vote. We will protect our progress, and we must protect our progress. We as a generation, ladies and gentlemen, we cannot be the generation to allow the hands of time to be turned backwards. Not today, not tomorrow, not ever. Urban Leaguers, we must wake up and stay woke. The crisis we face before us is not one of black versus white versus Latino versus Asian versus Native American. It's not a crisis of Protestant versus Catholic versus Muslim versus Jews versus Buddhists versus Hindi. This crisis before us is not urban America versus rural America versus suburban America. The crisis before us, I submit to you, is a crisis of right versus wrong. It's a crisis with a moral dimension. So we say tonight, it is wrong to abandon our long-standing bipartisan commitment to educational equity and opportunity. We must protect our progress. It is wrong to divert public funds intended for the free and equalizing education of our children from all backgrounds into private, for-profit institutions. It is wrong for the federal government to retreat from its vital role in promoting accountability and compliance with civil rights laws. We must protect our progress. And it is wrong to pull the rug out from under struggling students and families, cutting their health care, gutting food security, job training, shrinking housing subsidies, and affordable housing investments. We must protect our progress. It is wrong to deny the American dream to aspiring immigrants or a safe harbor to refugees fleeing violence and persecution based upon their religion. We must protect our progress. It is wrong to force hard-working Americans to pay federal taxes on the taxes they pay to state and city governments and try to pass that off as tax reform. Beavis and Butthead could see through the lipstick on that pig. It is wrong to play politics with our sacred right to vote. To engage in lies and subterfuge, to deny our rightful participation in the democracy for which we have fought and bled and died. So it is wrong to set up a sham so-called voter integrity commission, which pretends to look for voter fraud that does not exist. Like hypocritical Puritans in Salem, Massachusetts, accusing their neighbors of witchcraft only so they could confiscate their homes and lands. Our vote will not be confiscated, suppressed, diluted, nor marginalized. We will not counter this with a political movement, but we counter it with a moral imperative through our activism and advocacy, through reason and persuasion. The Urban League movement will stand against these wrongs and in favor of a nation which is united, purposeful, and prepared to embrace the future. Our shared moral compass, refined through the decades, helps us determine right from wrong. Therefore, it is right to defend the right to vote, not only using our voice in the halls of Congress and state capitals, but on the ground in our towns and cities, as we did with our voter education campaign, Our Vote Matters. Over the last 12 years, 5.5 million citizens have been mobilized by Urban League affiliates to participate in civic engagement and civil rights activities. It is right to fight for equality and excellence in education and to practice what we preach with our highly successful programs like Project Ready. It is right not only to promote economic opportunity, but to provide a blueprint for how to achieve it with the Main Street Marshall Plan, and also to connect people with actual jobs, as we've done hundreds of thousands of times over the last decade. Not only for our brothers and sisters with MBAs and PhDs, but also for those striving for GEDs, for those making continuous progress up the ladder of success, as well as those re-entering the workforce after incarceration. It is right to give small business owners the opportunity that they deserve through programs like our new Capital Access Fund of Greater Cleveland, which in just 7 months since we launched it has funded 15 businesses for a total of $2.3 million. Thank you, Marsha Maccabee, Don Bowen, and all involved. That effort is on track to achieving its goal of creating 300 new jobs over 3 years. It is right for corporate institutions to stand on the side of diversity and inclusion and to lead the way for a better nation. In the last decade, the Urban League has negotiated partnerships along with other civil rights organizations, resulting in written historic commitments with 3 leading American businesses, AT&T, Charter, and Comcast, to address diversity and inclusion in their corporate governance, employment, workforce, recruitment, retention, procurement, programming, and philanthropy and community investments. Diversity and inclusion is not a social program. Diversity and inclusion is a business imperative. Earlier this summer, 150 of the nation's top executives signed on to a new initiative called CEO Action for Diversity and Inclusion. And this fall, they will hold a Diversity and Inclusion Summit to discuss best practices and learnings, develop additional commitments, and welcome new signatories. I applaud, we at the Urban League applaud their commitment and look forward to working with them. It is right to make the American dream of home ownership a reality for more and more American families. Becoming first-time home buyers. Over the last decade, more than 96,000 homes have been saved from foreclosure due to the work of our Urban League affiliates. It is right. It is absolutely right to make health a priority for all Americans. We will work to preserve the Affordable Care Act, Medicaid, CHIP, and S-CHIP. Not only have Urban League programs helped thousands of Americans connect to health insurance through the ACA exchanges, but we've also provided direct services in nutrition, health screenings, and children's health. Over the last 12 years, our health programs have benefited nearly 8 million people. And in the last 5 years, health disparities have been cut in half. More people of all races, creeds, and walks of life are covered by health insurance than at any time in American history. This is why This is why we reject, repeal, and replace. And we say, retain and reform. We must protect our progress. We will protect our progress today, tomorrow, and forever. As I close, Urban Leaguers, we are not alone. As I close, you are not alone. We stand on powerful shoulders. We stand on the shoulders of George Edmund Haynes and Ruth Standish Baldwin. We stand on the shoulders of Jackie Robinson and Branch Rickey. We stand on the shoulders of Dred Scott, Homer Plessy, and Rosa Parks. We stand on the shoulders of teachers and educators and coaches. We stand on the shoulders of Whitney and Vernon and Jake and Hugh. On the shoulders of Maya Angelou, Josephine Baker, and Lady Day. We stand on the shoulders of all of your mothers, all of your fathers, all of our churches, our neighborhoods, and our friends. They're counting on you, Urban Leaguers, to lead. We must stay woke, Urban Leaguers. We must dare to be first. We must dare to be different, and we must dare to lead. Stay woke, stay woke, stay woke. And by the powers vested in me, I hereby declare the 2017 National Urban League Conference officially open. God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. Thank you very much.